this topic today, I'll go by hand with this, Generation Z. So let's start with who is that? I heard a while ago someone said, I think it was on Twitter or something, that the millennials are no longer the annoying kids playing on your front lawn. Millennials are now your slightly younger neighbors, also annoyed at the kids playing on the lawn. So Generation Z, for all practical purposes today, is high schoolers. There's a little bit of differences of who classifies these age groups versus those age groups. Technically, I'm the last age of millennial, so everyone me and older is a millennial, everyone me and younger is Gen Z. Most of the statistics that we're going to be going with today are from Barna Group, who was 15 to 18-year-olds, so a section of Generation Z. But for practical purposes today, we're basically talking about high schoolers. So Josh McDowell, the other day I was watching a lecture from him, and he says that kids today will have more challenges by the time they're 12 to their faith than you had when you went to college, and you struggled with it then. There's never been a larger gap between parent and child. When you were growing up, there was a gap between you and your parents, right? Oh, the kids today, oh man, old people are just so old. There's always been that generational gap between parents and kids. But the gap between today's parents and today's kids is way bigger than it's ever been because of how fast the world is moving, because of technology, because of the things that the left is putting into our schools, things like that. So that's something to keep in mind, is there's never been a bigger gap. Now, we're living in what's called a post-truth era, right? Post-Christian, post-truth. Right. What does that mean? It means we as society have generally accepted that, well, you don't necessarily need God, right? We can all generally agree that a large part of our society has said, you don't need God. If you want him, you can have him, but you don't need him. Post-Christian. And in 2016, they added post-truth to the dictionary, which basically means the concept that beliefs and convictions and personal feelings, I don't remember if it says feelings or if it says beliefs and convictions, are taken more seriously than objective fact. I mean, that's layman's terms, but that's basically what it is. A couple years ago, we even added the word post-truth. We're living in an after-truth society, an after-Christianity society, which also brings what they're calling atheism 2.0, which is the idea that we know religion failed and we don't really need it anymore, but there was some good stuff. So let's try to keep the few good things that we're aware of, but you don't necessarily need religion. So that is what they're calling basically atheism 2.0. Now, something to keep in mind is, how many of you know somebody that's mad at the church?
Yep.
A lot of hands, right? What are the two primary reasons that you hear?
Hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy is the first one, and you still hear, I mean, it's in country songs, it's in everything, you know, the preacher on the TV just wants your money, right? Kids today have no idea what the preacher on TV wanting your money means. I mean, some of them probably do, but as a general rule, they don't. Today's kids, which also means they're no longer mad at the church. Millennials were mad at the church. The generation before millennials, Xers, were a little bit mad at the church. Right? You've got that angry atheist persona. You know those kind of people I'm talking about. As a general rule, today's kids aren't mad at the church because they weren't raised in it, they weren't hurt by it. They're watching the church, trying to figure out what it is, trying to figure out if it's right, trying to figure out if that's what they want, trying to figure out where the church fits into the world. So something to keep in mind is they're watching us, trying to figure us out. I think my next slide is, so now we're going to start going into the statistics from the Barna Group. Here you have the percentage that identify as engaged Christian with a biblical worldview. It has, I think, like 8 different tenets of what a biblical worldview truly is. And this is the percentage over the years of who is able to identify primarily with that definition of strong biblical worldview. We're down to 4%. They asked kids, what is the biggest challenge to following Jesus? Those are the 2 answers they gave. Fear of isolation, because, Christianity is extremism in today's world. True, biblical, walked out Christianity is almost in the bucket of extremism, and nobody wants to be friends with an extremist. And number 2, I can't give answers to the big questions. 24%, right and wrong, change with society. 58%, there's no one true religion, many paths lead to heaven. 34%, lying is wrong. Why isn't that 90%?
Yeah. Wow.
33%, gender is how you feel. 0% connected getting married with becoming an adult. Now, I don't know how that question was asked on the survey. I'm assuming it was something to the effect of, which of these factors are a part of becoming an adult? And they gave them a list and they could check boxes. I'm assuming it was something like that. So less than 1% connected getting married onto the list of what does it mean to become an adult. More than half of Gen Z put church in the not or not very important categories. You know how in some surveys there's not very important, very important, not very important, not sure, kind of important, very important, you know, the like different 5. Over half of them put it in the not or not very important. Lying is morally wrong. Here you'll see, these are all the different age groups. So you've got elders, boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z. So the orange bar is, you know, your college students, young parents today. The blue one at the top is your high schoolers. So lying is morally wrong. Obvious trend. Abortion is wrong. A slight trend, which is interesting because I've heard a lot of people say that we're winning on abortion. So I don't know if this statistic is off from what they've been saying, but that's just one interesting one. Or if it's that this bar is growing. I don't know. Marriage should be a lifelong commitment between a man and a woman. Elders, 66%, and then we go over here and we kind of stay in this area. Sex before marriage is morally wrong. It's kind of just staying there. Not a big difference between Gen Z and the generations before. Homosexual behavior is morally wrong. Again, there you can see that trend. That line of the younger you go, the less likely they are to think it's morally wrong. What is morally right and wrong changes over time based on society. See that trend? Now look at the numbers. We're not talking about 60% versus 80%, so that's encouraging. We're still only talking about 24%. It would be really depressing if it was, 95% or something. But still, there's an obvious trend. What is morally right and wrong depends on what an individual believes. Again, a little bit of that trend. And I think I know why these two are reversed, but that's a rabbit trail, and we're not going to go down it. So all of this must be because kids today are shallow and ignorant and overly social and ADD and fragile. You laugh because you've said it. Does that list somewhat sum up what a lot of us believe about today's kids? Probably fairly accurate. We've heard all those things said about today's kids. So I want to unpack those. Some of them are somewhat accurate. Some of them are a misunderstanding of what's going on. So let's start with shallow. 24% of today's kids say that the church is teaching things that are too shallow. Are they the ones that are shallow, or is the church? 24% say it's the church. 46% want facts to back up their belief. 49% believe the church rejects science. Yeah, it's not true at all. But that's the image they've been given. Either they've been convinced by the left that we reject it, or they haven't gotten it from the church. The church never talks about science, so I hear science over here and it doesn't match with the church, so the church must reject it. We can talk about why, but half of today's kids think that the church rejects science. 66% want to start a career, become financially independent. I had someone after we did this in Sioux Falls come up to me and be like, why that doesn't even make any sense. Today's kids don't have the work ethic that they need. That could be fair. I'm not saying they have the work. I'm not saying 66% have the ability to start a career, become financially independent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. they want, which is a foot in the door. If they want that, maybe they'd be open to coaching on how to get there. So again, not saying they have this incredible work ethic and they're going to get there, but it can be used as a tool. A lot of them want to become financially independent, start a good career, etc. And again, second reason, I can't give the answers to the big questions. Whose fault is that? It's not the kids. They did a study, Barna again, said according to parents, youth group is what for your kids? And they gave a bunch of different options. The top 2 chosen answers were a place to worship together and a place to develop relationships. That's what parents believe their kids are getting out of youth group. You want to know what the bottom answer was? A place to ask serious questions about the Bible and foundational beliefs. Now, does that necessarily mean that the youth groups aren't asking the tough questions? Not necessarily. But parents, that's the bottom option of what they see their kids getting from today's youth groups. So are today's kids shallow? In some ways, sure. They're on their phones the whole time, etc. But at the same time, we'll get into this under... Where do I want to touch on that one? We'll get into the next one because it applies. I'll save it for a second. So there you see I crossed out shallow because saying that they're all shallow and don't want to talk about the big issues isn't quite fair. Now, are there aspects of today's kids that are shallow? Yes. Are there kids today that in every single aspect the kids are shallow? Yes. Is it fair to look at our kids today and say it's a bunch of group of shallow kids, overall they don't want the big questions? No, that's not quite fair. So the stereotype of shallow doesn't work. But they're ignorant, right? I hear that all the time. And there's some truth to it, but we'll get into that. Again, 24% church and teachers thinks too shallow. 46 want facts. 49, the church rejects science. Now, the 3 below it would say, yeah, but look how ignorant they are. 33%, gender's how you feel. 37, gender is central to one's sense of self. 58%, no one true religion, many paths lead to salvation. Are today's kids ignorant? I would say if we take the actual definition of the word ignorant, I'd say absolutely not. Now listen, what is ignorance? Lack of knowledge. Do today's kids have a lack of knowledge? No, they have the wrong knowledge. Now you say, Norman, that's semantics. I knew that. It's not semantics. If someone doesn't have the information, you can assume they're going to want information, right? So if you have the correct information, you come to someone who's ignorant, you're starting off from the position of, they are going to appreciate this knowledge. That's not necessarily true for all of today's kids. Because if the left has the hold on their public school system like we know they do, are you coming to someone who doesn't have knowledge and is going to appreciate what you're saying? Not necessarily. You're probably going to someone who has been given a lot of wrong information, has come to the wrong conclusions, and is ready to have a back and forth and really figure it out. So straight up saying they're ignorant isn't necessarily true. If we use that in the general sense of the word ignorance, as in they don't have the right information, sure, they're ignorant. If you use that as a definitionally, they don't have information, not true. And this, up in the corner, I want to really stop on for a second. Kids today are aware of far more at far younger ages than you were. Aware of far more at far younger ages. And I'm not talking about the good stuff. They've all seen porn. If you tell Josh McDowell, no, my kid hasn't seen porn yet, he will literally laugh in your face. Because he said, don't be fooling yourself. The average age used to be 11, they're saying now it's 8 or 9. So if that's the average age, what does that mean? Half of them are seeing it by 5 or 6, half of them make it to 11. He says, if you teach your kids about sex the way your parents taught you, you will lose them. That's crazy. Because that's how we usually do things, right? This worked. Hey, when my parents talked to me, this way of doing it, it worked. I'm going to follow that model. It won't work. He said if your kids remember the first time you talked to them about sex or purity or pornography or any of those issues, if they can remember the first time, it was too late. Let me give you the way he does it. I'm not trying to tell you how to be a parent or a grandparent, but what Josh McDowell explained really made a lot of sense to me. He'll say, if you ask any of my kids, and they did an interview with all of his kids, when was the first time your dad talked to you about sex or pornography or purity? I don't remember. We talked about it all the time. That's how it's got to be. Because if it's taboo, if you can't talk about it, if it's secret, if it's horrible, they're not going to want to talk to mom and dad about it because it's bad and it's embarrassing and it's sinful. If it's just another topic and kids can come to mom and dad about anything and everything, they're going to have a healthy understanding of it. And then the first time they see porn, which is going to happen, they're not afraid to come and talk to dad or grandma because it's something we can talk about. How many of you dealt with the issue of gender identity when you were kids? Like, what does society do with it? What is it? What does it mean? Did any of you have those discussions as kids?
No.
Today's kids are not just discussing it. They're aware of it. They're talking about, is it biologically based? Maybe they don't use that big of a word. But they're talking about the, are you born that way or is it a choice? They're talking about how should the government treat them. You guys as kids weren't talking about how the government should treat somebody based on this action and whether or not that action is biologically based or partially biological, partial choice. And the list goes on. So to say that they're ignorant in your mind could put them in a bucket that they're not in. Are there facts that they need? Absolutely. Are there training that they need? Absolutely. Are there things in their worldview and their beliefs that they've been taught that need to be corrected? Absolutely. So in the general sense of the word ignorant, yes, we're agreeing. But again, when we get into the real definition and when we look at what kids are aware of today, they're aware of far more. I think Phil mentioned the sextortion brochures, right? On our website, there's an article that says additional resources after the Keeping Kids Safe event. I think we have 9 or 10 PDF documents on digital safety, pornography, human trafficking, a whole bunch of different things. One of them is emojis. We all know what emojis are, those little pictures that you can send in a text, like a smiley face or a dog or a piece of pizza or whatever. You guys know what a peach means? Ask me afterwards or go look at the document. There's a whole code that you guys would never pick up on that these kids are talking about. They're talking about sex, they're talking about pornography, they're talking about what should we do with transgender people, they're talking about is it okay for 2 boys to kiss. So, should they be embarrassed to come to you and ask about those things? No. Josh McDowell said for him, one of the hardest things was not reacting when their kids would ask one of those questions. Because your first reaction is, why are they talking about that? But the kid's going to pick up on that, right? And if Grandpa freaks out when I asked about 2 boys kissing, are they going to ask about any of the other issues? Maybe not. Again, Phil said it's going to get a little raw. He said it was incredibly embarrassing, but he knew he had achieved success when 2 things happened. First of all, his daughter was at school talking about sex with her friends. I don't remember what age. And he came to pick her up, and she saw the dad came in. She said, oh, I'll ask my dad. And the other girls were like, what? You can't ask him that. She goes, yeah, I can. No, you can't ask your dad about sex. No, you can't talk to him about that. She goes, watch me. So she went to prove to her friends how cool her dad was. She went at school up to her dad and asked him a question about sex. Is that awkward to think about? Absolutely. But is it a success that she thought that was cool? Yes. Absolutely. Another one, a little bit more Raw. He said, I'm in the supermarket. And I think he said Sean McDowell. So it's Josh is the dad, Sean's the kid. Sean was 6? Yeah. He said, we're walking through the bread aisle, and my little 6-year-old looks up at me, and he goes, Daddy, when I get as big as you, is my penis going to be as big as you? Is that awkward for me to stand here and say this? Absolutely. But what does that say about the relationship between him and Sean? He said he was a kid. I gave him a real quick answer. 30 seconds later, we were talking about ice cream. He wasn't kidding. Literally 30 seconds later, they're talking about ice cream. That's all it has to be. So now at school, when some kid, and the brave, tough kid is the first one to bring up sex, was Sean going to be shocked by it? No, me and Dad already talk about that. Dad says this other thing. It's not taboo because they had built that relationship. I want to cover this on ignorant. One last thing. What does the phrase, you are their parent, not their friend, mean? Anybody? What does that phrase mean? Hey, you're their parent, not their friend. You need to do X, Y, Z. Tough love. Okay. Basically, you're going to do things that your kid is going to think you're not their friend for doing them. If you take the definition of friend as it truly is, the phrase, you're their parent, not their friend, is the biggest pile of bahookie ever. In today's world of what a friend is, tells you nice things, doesn't ever correct you, things like that, yeah, absolutely. You're their parent, you're not there to just make them happy. But what is a true friend? Will a true friend call you out when you're being dumb? Yes. Will a true friend love you through any pain? Yes. Will a true friend stick with you when you mess up? Yes. Will a true friend extend tough love? Yes. It should be our goal to be friends with them, not just keep them happy, not just do the things they want. Don't get me wrong. But if your son or your granddaughter can come up to you and talk to you about anything, that's huge. They're going to see you as their best friend. Josh McDowell literally wears a Superman belt buckle. And people ask him, why do you do that? His first answer is always, because I want to. But his actual answer is because I have become Superman to my kids. He's their best friend. Now, he didn't do that by keeping them happy, the soft love, etc. There is tough love, there's all of that, but that's true friendship. So they're not ignorant, they're exposed. Let's see if this is going to work. Oh, I turned it off. There we go. So I left ignorant, not crossed out, because in some ways, yes, they are ignorant. Overly social. They're too focused on their friends, they're obsessed with their friendships and fame. Right? That's what today's kids look like. They are the most disconnected, isolated generation in history. I see a few confused faces, and I know exactly why. Why? They're always on their phone, they're always on social media, they're always talking to their friends, they're always at school. Right? They're always having that interaction. How on earth can they be the most disconnected, lonely generation? I'll get to this in a second, about looking cool on social media, but I want to go through this. This is something that I joke with Phil and Ed about all the time. So my grandparents, it was quite frequent. I'd be at Grandma's house, she's on the phone with one friend, and she goes, oh, someone else just pulled up on the yard, gotta go. You could, they stopped by at anybody's house at any time. That was just the closeness they had. You'd sit down for coffee, you'd head back to your place, right? Now you have to call before you stop by, right? Or you just call, right? My parents will have long conversations with their friends all the time. That's just normal in today's world. If you got a close friend, every so often you're going to sit down for an evening and you're going to have a long conversation on the phone with them. But it's also come to the point where you have to text them before you can call and set up a time and make sure it works, right? You chuckle because it's kind of true. Or you just text them, have a conversation, right? Can you get the depth of connection from texting? No. If you text a whole bunch, what are you doing? You're trying to get back up here, right? So that's what's happening. Now, can you have genuine, real friendships over text? Yes. As a general rule, it's a lot more shallow than face-to-face, right? So that's what's happening. They're stuck down here trying to get what you guys had over here. But here's the deal. That doesn't include the tip of the triangle. What you guys see as this is the end, if you zoom in on that tip, you got just texting what we talked about, or then there's Snapchat where the messages disappear after 6 seconds. There's social media posts. I'll just post this and say something cool that I did, and people will see it and they'll like my pictures. Or I can just, comment on someone else's picture or share something cool. Did communication happen when you comment on someone's picture or you shared something that you did? Yes, a certain level of communication was sent. There was a click, there was a message sent, etc. Same with a like, way down here at the tip. If you like somebody's photo, what did you communicate? You put about this much effort into saying, hey, that was kind of cool, right? So was there a communication sent? Sure. Today's kids are stuck down here, and they don't realize they're stuck, trying to get what you guys had over here. So what I liken it to is like if you had Frosted Flakes for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. Is your stomach full? Yes. After a week, what are you going to feel like? Your stomach is still going to be full. Hey, I just had my 3 bowls of Frosted Flakes for supper. I'm not hungry, right? But it's going to be this weird, no, I'm not hungry, but I'm hungry, but it's weird, right? So if someone comes up and said, you need food. I just had 3 bowls of Frosted Flakes. That's not nutritious, right? They don't realize it's just Frosted Flakes. So if you tell them they're lonely, they never talk to their friends, they're disconnected, they're going to say, no, I talk to my friends all the time. It was Frosted Flakes. Right. Give them a steak. They don't realize that they're missing out. It may be a slow process to help them realize that, and maybe by the time they hit their 20s, they're going to realize it anyways. Start giving them steak instead of leaving them stuck down at the Frosted Flakes, which is also why they're always stuck in their phones. Because how often would you have to have a bowl of Frosted Flakes? Like every 45 minutes or something? That's why they're always stuck there. They're craving real connection because they're disconnected and they're getting all this digital feedback. I mean, we can go into the biological addiction to the notifications and stuff, but again, that's a rabbit trail that I'm going to avoid. So, they're not necessarily overly social. They're starving and don't realize it. I don't know if you guys can see it from there, but Impact 360 put this up when they were talking about this issue. This was for, I remember if there were 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, and it says, what's an invention that you don't like and why? If I had to tell you what invention I don't like, I would say that I don't like the phone. I don't like the phone because my parents are on their phone every day. A phone is something really bad habit. I hate my mom's phone, and I wish she never had one. That is an invention that I don't like. Today's 20, 30-year-olds, some of them are still stuck in the Frosted Flakes, and their kids are paying for it. So they're not necessarily overly social. It looks like they are, but they're starving for connection, and they need to be shown, where the steak is. Next, ADD. Kids can't pay attention for more than 5 minutes. If you have a video, it's got to be short. If you have an article, it's got to be quick, right? The kids can't even read a full email today, right? I want to go into this a little bit. Your email inbox every morning. If you've got 47 emails to get through, and you're going through number 27, is this big long chain email, and it's like this long. Are you going to read it? No, you're probably not. You're probably going to delete it. Does that mean it wasn't good information? No. Does that mean you don't like the person who sent it? No. You were prioritizing and you said, I've been here for an hour, I've got another 30, 22, whatever emails to get through, delete, move on, right? That's what today's kids are doing with nearly everything. Can you get all of the content posted on your friends' Facebooks in a day? Can you get through it all? No, it's impossible. Instagram, how many of you guys have it here? Probably a couple hands? Yeah, so I added it up the other day on my story, and I don't follow that many people. There's 36 posts and 23 stories, which means there's about 100 pictures or videos posted to my feed every day. Not spam. This is all from people that I know, I follow, organizations I care about, etc. How much time would it take to get through 100 images or videos every single day? They're a lot, that's why their attention span is 2 seconds. Not statistically 2 seconds, but that's why it's so quick. They're tapping through, I've got to get through 100. I don't actually get through them all. Yeah. My sister's, it's probably twice that. Easy. They say the average person sends or receives, or average kid, 128 texts per day. They say it's 34 snaps per day. Honestly, I put it in quotes because I don't believe that. I'll tell you why. It's because I'm over here at like 2 on a good day, which means other people are way over here at 60-some. If you were to watch every Snapchat that was sent in the last hour, how long would it take you to watch them all? 10 years. By the time you watched them all, another 880,000 years worth of Snapchats would be sent. Yeah, let that sink in. So, in a kid's phone, they can get through all their texts, so their communication straight from friends, there's enough they can get through. They can answer all their Snapchats. It's impossible to get through all of their Facebook. And it's near impossible to get through all of their Instagram. That doesn't include YouTube, Visco, Saraha, Twitter, email, or Pinterest. So now, if they see a 15-minute video, and they've got all this that they know they can get to, and want to get to, are they going to take the time? Not necessarily. So are they ADD? Maybe, kinda. But they're more inundated than ADD. Does that make sense? Fragile. Almost out of time, so I'm going to go through this quickly. What am I talking about here? The snowflakes, right? Are there snowflakes in today's world? Are some high schoolers snowflakes? Sure. Categorizing all of them as fragile is not fair, though. And I'll explain why. So, some more statistics here. Now, instead of before, it was the oldest at the bottom, the kids on the top. This is not age, this is all kids. With least amount of church at the bottom, most amount of church at the top. It's not okay to challenge another person's beliefs. The rest of the world, 10% think it's not okay to challenge another person's beliefs. Today's Christian kids, a third of them think it's not okay to challenge someone else's beliefs. If your beliefs offend someone or hurt their feelings, it's probably wrong. The world is sitting at around 30%, 33%. Today's Christian kids, 65% of them believe that if your beliefs offend someone or hurt someone, your beliefs are probably wrong. Is that frustrating? Yes. What does that say about them? What are they striving for with those beliefs? Acceptance? Yep. What are they trying to, so that's coming to them. They're trying to get acceptance to come to them. What are they trying to portray? What's that? Tolerance, yes. But even tolerance is because they want to be seen as compassionate. Generation Z is one of the most compassionate generations on record. Now I have to Sioux Falls someone said, well, how can you say they're compassionate? If they were truly compassionate, they wouldn't spend so much time on their phones, they'd spend time with people. Yes. I'm not saying that compassion is well educated, well executed, and well placed. But that's where they're coming from. They're trying to be compassionate. And postmodernism is like, bingo, these kids want to be compassionate, this is what true compassion means, we've got a match here. So that's a huge opportunity for us as the church. Is it frustrating? Yes. Is it a huge opportunity? Yes. We can work with compassion. Compassion's a good thing. So we've got a good foundation to start with. Again, 38% the church is overprotective. Kids today are aware of far more, far earlier. Are they fragile? No, they're aware of a lot more than you are in some areas. I don't mean they know more, they're smarter, better educated. I mean in some areas like sex and porn, they know more than you. 29% know someone who's changed their identity. If we come off hard-handed against the LGBT community, to us it's a statistic. To you guys, it's a number on the paper. To every kid in school today, it's Dana or Robin. If we come off portraying transgender individuals as the pervert that wants into the wrong restroom, are we going to reach today's kids? No. Are there perverts that use transgender policies to use the wrong restroom? Yes. But if we portray the LGBT community in anything but firm love and grace, we're not going to reach them. This I got from Jeff Myers. Young people today have given up certainty with no humility for humility with no certainty. If they see us as certain about facts but not humble, they're going to choose humility even though the facts aren't there. That should be convicting. Again, can we as Christians work with people that want to look compassionate, want to look loving, want to look humble? Absolutely. That's an opportunity for us. We can work with that. So again, they're not necessarily shallow, they're ill-equipped. Oh, I've got 4 minutes left. They're somewhat ignorant, unless we take the true definition of the word, yet they're exposed. They're not overly social, they're isolated. They're not ADD, they're inundated, which in turn makes them look ADD. And they're not necessarily fragile, they're trying to be compassionate. Okay, so we've got 5 quick summaries. I'm going to skip. Who's going to go into truth and how they see truth, but we're going to have to skip that for now. 5 essential mindset shifts we need to adopt. This is from Impact 360. Almost everything I'm talking about today is not from me. It's from a higher authority sense than me. Less bubble wrap, more challenge. There's no growth without challenge. Safety doesn't breed resilience. Young people want to wrestle with the real issues. Less technology, more connection. Again, help them realize that they want the steak, not the frosted flakes. They long for real connection. They're more isolated than any other generation. They long for people who seek real connection. What does that mean? It means you have an opportunity to be a mentor, a friend, a true friend, not just a make them happy friend, a tough love, stick it out friend. Some have said that kids today say my parents spend more time on their phone than talking to me. Less fragmentation, more integration. Postmodernism says there is no overarching story. It's all little pieces. Figure out your own little piece. We have access to unlimited info, but education is more than data acquisition. How does it all fit together? Does the Christian worldview fit it all together? Yes. Help them figure that out. Biblical worldview paints the best picture. On that, with the postmodern mind, painting the pictures together, something you guys need to be aware of. In their mind, if you asked somebody a question and they come with an answer right away, very confident, and they have an answer to everything, that person has an agenda and they're a little bit shady. So be careful. To the postmodern mind, finding the right answer means you sit down, you discuss it, you look at information, you admit that you don't know all the facts, and you try to find the best answer. Again, can you use that? Absolutely. If truth is truth, you can sit down and say, okay, I don't want to say put my faith on the table and reject it, but you can put yourself in the position of, hey, this is the Christian answer, but I don't know all the answers, let's figure this out. If truth is truth, you're going to come back to truth. So you've got nothing to be scared of. And to their postmodern mind, you have an actual heart for finding the right answer. You didn't give them the answer of an agenda. Just a little tip from the postmodern mindset. Less entertainment, more training. Don't become boring or stoic, but don't just entertain, prepare them. Immerse them in the real world and how to interact with it. Train them. Again, it goes into that mentorship thing. more feeling, and more thinking. Today, are people governed by facts or by feelings? Mostly by feelings. But again, if a lot of those feelings are rooted in a desire to be compassionate, can we work with that? Yes. We can take that, okay, I realize you want to be nice. Let's talk about that. I have a conversation with my sister. I have friends that are in the LGBT community. My sisters do as well. How do we interact with them? We sit down and we really discuss, okay, how do we love these people? And how do we stand firm? You can have both. The world wants to paint it as Democrats are loving, Republicans are mean with all the answers. Do we have to be painted into those two buckets? No. Do we truly love the LGBT community? Yes. If I'm going to be honest, a lot of people in our movement don't show that. Can we be loving and have the facts and do the right thing? Absolutely. Can we get down into the muck with the kids and figure out these tough issues? Yes. Again, to a lot of this stuff, to gender identity, to transgender, to things like that, to a lot of us it's a statistic. To them it's their classmate. We have to get down in there with them, walk through it, figure it out. And if truth is truth, we're going to get back to the biblical answer, to the right answer. But we can't be afraid to struggle through it and work with them and really digest what's going on. Less bubble wrap, more challenge. Less technology, more connection. Less fragmentation, more integration. Less entertainment, more training. More feeling, and more thinking. Now, I'm out of time, so I just want to finish with one thing. I heard this from Sean McDowell last night, actually, on a video. What is the number one factor for a kid's faith to be what they call sticky, for to stay with them? The number one factor, from one of the largest studies ever done on this topic, was a warm relationship with the father. Not to minimize mothers or grandparents, because I'm sure those other statistics were close. If the number one is close relationship with father, mother and grandparents have to be right there too. That's the number one reason. What's the number one reason, or one of the number one reasons, for not having a faith that's sticky? Anybody? Some of you saying lack of relationship with a father. That could be one of the top ones. But what I'm aware of as the top one, unexpressed doubt. If they keep it pent up, if I can never talk to Dad about the fact that Christianity, I don't know if it's true. Sean McDowell explained that as a high schooler, he sat down with his dad. Okay, you guys know who Josh McDowell is. Wrote like one of the best books, Evidence That Demands a Verdict, which, by the way, he says is 80% irrelevant today. He wrote a new version, 80% new, because he said things have changed so fast. So Josh McDowell's kid sits down and has the guts to say, Dad, I'm not sure this Christianity thing is true. What was Josh's response? Son, I'm glad you said that. I've taught you to seek and love the truth, follow the truth where it leads you. He goes, I believe, and I believe I've shown that Christianity is the real, true, capital T truth. Follow the truth, see where it finds you. I've taught you to love the truth, go seek it, go find it. Can kids today come up to you and express doubt? Or will those doubts be pent up until they go to college and a professor confirms all of those doubts and then, boop, it's gone? So that's what I wanted to end with. I'll be around for questions. We're only, 2 minutes over? 3 minutes over. Not too bad. We've got the handouts on the table with a bunch of the statistics. We've got the ballot info at the back. I'll be around for questions. Thanks for coming, everybody.